Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors. I'm out here in part of what is my medicinal garden. There's a couple of little areas that I have quit mowing and let grow up in native wild plants. I have brought in some wild plants, so I have sowed a lot of wild lettuce. And you see there's a good bit right here behind me. Now there in this area, there's several different species. It's hard at this time of year for me to look at it and go, this is that, or this is Cereola, or this is canadensis or whatever. And I know I have Virosa, Cereola, canadensis, and Floridana here. The best way to tell is once it starts blooming, some of them you can tell they have a darker lacticarium. But right here now, I noticed something that I have not dealt with a lot. You see how short this plant is? The deer. I've got a little half-pet deer that we raised on the property. He lost his mama early last year before hunting season. And I watched him throughout hunting season, and this year he's got some little spikes, and he has eat the tops out of a lot of my wild lettuce when I wasn't looking. But now I have some back here. Normally here by the end of July and August, it's up 10 foot tall almost. This right here is probably not gonna get that tall, but now what it has done, where he's bit it off, it has started branching out. It's still useful. Still, the plant itself is still useful. So the thing I wanted to talk to you about today is the best way to use wild lettuce. After my making the black tar video is like gone viral, and I'm getting a lot of questions and stuff about it. The truth of the matter is the black tar out of wild lettuce is the best way to preserve it and just take it. Now I keep mine in the refrigerator. I have not tried to store it outside of the refrigerator to see. I feel like at the stage it's at that it would not ruin. I tried to keep some tea I made in the refrigerator for a couple of months and it started going bad. The tincture is a great way to preserve it. You could do an alcohol tincture or an apple cider vinegar tincture. I'd usually do the apple cider vinegar tinctures, but y'all, it is so bitter and so strong, it's hard to stomach taking it. I have not tried to make it out of either moonshine or, Everclear or something like that, vodka. So that may be a good option for you, but the most practical way to come out here and use wild lettuce, especially while you have it growing, especially in the abundance that I have it. Now, if you only have 2 plants in your yard, I understand your deal. A lot of places across the country I'm hearing they don't have as much of it. Here in the South, we're blessed with it. It's everywhere. I've heard some people in Florida say they couldn't find it. You should be finding loads of it in Florida. It just should grow there really well. Canada, I understand. Out west, I understand you may not have as much out there. The southeastern part of the United States is blessed with it. Everywhere I go, I see bunches of it on the sides of the road and parks and just places that they've quit mowing, it's there. So let's talk about using wild lettuce. The best thing to do is to come out here, and I'm gonna get a little closer to the camera where you guys can see. Take these stalks, cut that. You're not gonna be able to see it in this. Let me do it. Let me get my knife here. All right, you see this right here, this lacticarium coming up out of there. Bitter. Y'all, this stalk has more lacticarium in it than anything. I've had a lot of people tell me, well, can you use a juicer? I'm gonna do some experimenting here later on with a juicer. I don't know. Because, I wish I hadn't thrown the other piece down. You can see in this that there is a lot of liquid in there that is not lacticarium. I am not an all-out expert and scientist on this plant. But from what I understand, the lacticarium is where the medicinal properties are. If you juice this whole plant and just drink the juice, you're going to get a lot of water, basically, out of it. The soluble qualities of that is going to come through heating that up and it drawing the medicinal properties into the water. So that is why you make a tea out of the plant. The most practical thing to do is this right here. Just cut it. I cut this little short piece off. I can cut it again, and look, right there below that, you can see lacticarium. You're going to start feeling that after you do this. I have heard some people say, don't drink too much of that. You know, they milked it and got like a spoonful and tried to take the whole spoonful at one time and vomited. It's very bitter. It don't agree with your stomach. But you can keep cutting this little old bitty spots of this. Look. You see the amount of lacticarium that is in that stalk? That is your pain medicine. You keep doing that a few times and you're going to start feeling the medicinal qualities of this plant. Aside from this, take you some plant, put it in a double boiler, put it in a crock pot. And when you put it in a crock pot, a lot of people saying, oh, my crock pot will boil. Your crock pot has more than one setting, or should. You do not want to turn it wide open and try to boil it. Put it on low and let it simmer for a little while, and then you've got a good tea made. Drink that tea. That is the easiest way to use this plant. You do not have to make black tar to get the effect out of this plant to help you with your pain medicine. That is more of, hey, we want to preserve this through the winter, and I don't want to store big jars of tincture and all this. I just need a little bowl of this black tar, and I'm scooping. And when I use the black tar, I take about a half of a teaspoonful at a time. And I don't take a lot of it. I don't have a lot of chronic pain, though. I use it for injuries, things of this nature. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is... in the video, people say, well, you boiled that. In the end of that video, you let it come to a boil after you told us 200 times not to let it come to a boil. I could have easily edited that out. I wanted you to understand how easy it is for this to come to a boil and you knowing what to do and trying not to. Because life happens, that is a very lengthy process, and at the end of it, you are tired of fooling with it or you're pushing to get it done. There's a lot of different ways to clean that stuff up. You use whatever method. You can use alcohol. You can use all different kind of stuff to get that loose in that pan. You use the way you come up with that works for you. On boiling that and killing it, it is not like killing pathogens in water when you're trying to make water drinkable. If you get some water and you bring it to a boil, it immediately kills all of the pathogens in that water at boiling temperature. Well, this is not like that. This is one of those things where the longer you let it boil, the more you kill of it. It starts weakening. The moment it comes to a boil, you start losing medicinal qualities to it. The longer it boils, the more you lose. You don't immediately just wipe the whole plant out just because it come to a boil for a second and you get it down. The problem with the reason I say don't boil it, do not let it boil, is because by the time you realize something is boiling, usually in this process, you're cutting it on and going and watching TV, or cutting it on and going and doing your house cleaning or whatever else you're doing, and coming back and checking on it. And once you see it's boiling, it's done been boiling for a while. Just because it comes to a boil for a second, you're not going to wipe it out. And a lot of this is like pokeweed. You can cook poke salad, though it's considered a poisonous plant. If you boil the water, they say 3 times and strain that water off, you kill the toxins in it. You dilute it down basically to where it's edible. Well, that's the way this works. It takes a couple of boilings to really completely kill the medicinal qualities of it. So if that helps explain a little of it, I know I threw a lot of people for a loop because I let it get to a boil when I was simmering at the end. And I left that in the video for educational purposes so that you know that, hey, look how easy this comes to a boil when it gets to this point. But I just wanted to talk to you a little bit because, like I said, I am getting tons and tons of questions on wild lettuce. And I'll show you for a minute right here a little bit around my medicinal garden. I get questions on it. A lot of these, you see how big some of these stalks over here are. And a lot of this is canadensis, but you see that was a big old stalk. That would have been a big, tall plant by now. But the deer You can see where he eat the tops out of every one of these. And he did that when he was young. I have a lot of elderberry coming up, blooming right here. I have got sumac back here. Now, this is not poison sumac. This is a whole nother species of sumac. And it's good for you for different things. We've got a lot of goldenrod right here. Now, this is a good example right here in this wild lettuce of where he bit the top out of that. You can see right there, it has branched out a whole bunch. And I have a few blackberries that has come up in here. Now, my son has not found these yet. See this? That's wild lettuce too. Very young, it's in the shade. Pokeweed. A lot of poke right here. You can see it developing berries. I'm gonna walk on up in here. I have a lot more wild lettuce. You can see behind me right here. These are getting very tall already. Let me show you this one back here. This is my basket over here that when I'm weeding, I throw plant material in there to help compost. I'm using that to fertilize in this. All right, y'all, you see this guy here? He's right now about 8 foot tall. This stalk is, it's that big around. You can barely reach around it down here and touch your fingers. So it's somewhat in the shade. Actually, there's two of them. The one behind it is a little bit skinnier. You see right here, two totally different leaf structures. This is an oval shaped leaf, and then these right here are very lobed like. You see these big lobed leaves, wild lettuce. This right here looks totally different, still wild lettuce. You can see the lacticarium is white. That very white, milky lacticarium. I was hoping I would happen up on, and let me check one thing else right here. Yeah, these have fine hairs up under here. What is like prickles? Yeah, it has prickles under the spine. Some of them I have noticed, and I don't know if it's as much. See, like this one here, big, tall, wild lettuce plant. It is, there's fine hairs and prickles under most of these. I have virosa somewhere, and I think it is a species that has a more yellow lacticarium. Again, right here, you see I have a large patch of it. Two different style leaves all coming up right here side by side. So, you know, a lot of people get thrown off. Well, mine don't look like this, look like that. This is all wild lettuce. Some of it has some purpling on the stem, some of them. So anyway, I just wanted to show you around a little bit right here. Lot of goldenrod coming up in here. And I just kind of let this grow wild. You see these goldenrods are 6 or 7 foot tall, pushing 8 foot. And I have a truly giant ironweed. And I can't tell you off the top of my head all the uses for all these stuff. I have studied them in the past, but I had some wild lettuce over here, and it's the same as the other. It has gotten eat off. And then right back over here, you see down in under these oak limbs, there's other patches. So I'm showing you around to help you find it. Where you stop mowing with a lawnmower is where it's gonna grow. You can see I have cleaned up a lot of this yard. I have trails going in and out of these small areas. And that's what's growing up in there. It'll just naturally here start coming up. This is down on the lower part of my property, so it's a little cooler and damp right in this area. So anyway, maybe this will help some of you to be able to identify wild lettuce, get the main uses out of it. The main thing I wanted to talk about was the being able to figure out the best way for you to use it. You don't have to make tar out of it. The best way, cut it, lick the lactocarium. Within about 15, 20 minutes, if you do that you're gonna feel the effects of it. If you're not, do some more. Your body may be more tolerant to it. I will tell you this, anytime you start using a plant of any kind for the first time, no matter how much you've researched it, and no matter how well you know that this for a fact is the plant that I think it is, take a small amount and then wait and see what it does to your body. You could have an allergic reaction to it. Now, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing you this plant for pain medication, but it does work for that. At best, it is a mild pain reliever. It's a little better than an over-counter pain reliever. It's nothing like your prescription medicine or your opioid pain patches. I'm sorry, it is just not that strong. It does work. It does alleviate some pain. However, I have not felt any addictions to it, but I have not used very much of it. I use it for injuries and things. I don't use it because I have chronic back pain and I use it on a daily basis. If you do that, I'm sure that if something works, you get a mental addiction to things, so you'd have to watch for that. But anyway, this right here is cut leaf coneflower. We've got several medicinal plants coming up through here. I had some pink root right over here. The deer bit all the blooms off of it. So I'm discovering that my little wild medicinal garden down here, I'm going to have deer battles. So anyway, thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.